It's 7:30 in the evening across India. I'm Tanvi Taneja, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Global. We'll bring you the day's big stories from across India and the world. With me today from Washington, D.C. is my colleague, Caroline Malone. Hello, Caroline.
Good morning, Tanvi. It's 9 a.m. here in Washington, D.C. and 3 in the afternoon across Central Europe. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, we have news of a possible deal between Israel and Hamas. But first, the headlines.
U.S. says a deal is near to secure the release of some hostages held by Hamas. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also expresses hope for good news soon. India and Australia conduct 14th Foreign Minister-level framework dialogue in New Delhi. Cooperation in Indo-Pacific and Indian Ocean region discussed. Video footage of the 41 workers trapped in a tunnel in India's Uttarkashi state released for the first time in 9 days. International tunnelling expert hopes that the trapped workers will be home soon. And Australia and Mexico win big at the 2023 International Emmy Awards in New York. India bags 2 Emmys through comedian Veer Das and director Ekta Kapoor. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong held the 14th Foreign Ministerial Framework Dialogue in New Delhi on Tuesday. Under this framework, the two sides held discussions on close collaboration in trilateral, quadrilateral and multilateral formats. They also exchanged perspectives on Indo-Pacific and West Asia regions. Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles and Foreign Minister Penny Wong met India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval in New Delhi. The two sides discussed a range of issues, including global and regional developments, as well as bilateral security and defence cooperation. The two sides emphasised on the need to assist countries in the Indo-Pacific, ASEAN, Africa, Global South and Pacific Islands to take forward their development trajectories in line with their priorities. Later, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong addressed a joint presser on the 14th Foreign Ministerial Framework Dialogue in New Delhi today. Both countries expressed their shared commitment for an open, inclusive, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific.
As part of the 2+2 and as again part of our own dialogue today, we had an extensive discussion on security issues. We shared growing convergences with Australia, and at the heart of it is really a shared commitment to a free, open, inclusive, prosperous and rules-based Indo-Pacific region based on UNCLOS as the constitution of the seas.
Australian Foreign Minister highlighted the areas of cooperation between the two nations. Listen in.
This has been a milestone year in our partnership, and it's critical for the Met region. We are, as Dr. Jaishankar said, we are comprehensive strategic partners. We're also Quad partners. We share traditions. We also share an interest in the sort of region we live in, an Indo-Pacific that is peaceful, stable and prosperous, in which sovereignty is respected, and where all countries can benefit from a strategic equilibrium.
And DD India's Amritpal Singh, who is covering the story, joins us now. Amrit, fill us in on the key strategic defence and security issues that were discussed by the two countries.
Well, the entire gamut of relationship, Tanvi, was discussed. As the Foreign Minister or the External Affairs Minister said, that security of the Indo-Pacific was at the core of their Indo-Pacific discussions, given that it comes just before the Quad is, slated to meet in January this year. So the contours of the Quad, broadening the partnership in Quad, securing the Indo-Pacific, ensuring that it's a rule-based theater, that open, free, inclusive, fair and a resilient Indo-Pacific is established without the unilateral domination of any single player was at the core of the discussions. Of course, the trade, investment and the economic part was discussed too. The SICA, on which the negotiations are at the advanced stage, and the two sides wish to conclude it soon, so that Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Albanese, when he comes calling on New Delhi in January, can sign it and they can accrue the economic benefits from it. So that was at the core of the discussion. Of course, regional and international matters were discussed as well.
Right.
Tanvi?
Amrit, at what length was the Israel-Hamas conflict discussed between the two countries?
It was discussed at quite a length, and in fact, both sides put out their positions. And if you read clearly the positions of both sides, they are very convergent, or they are very similar positions. They did not, spell out things like ceasefire, etc. But say the Indian position was very clear. India believes that what happened on the 7th of October was terrorism, and terrorism must be defeated in all its forms. But Dr. Jaishankar also spoke about the humanitarian crisis evolving there, and the humanitarian issues, and also the political solution to the problem, which India believes is the two-state solution, and the two sides should work towards it, and the aspirations, the rightful aspirations of the Palestinians should be taken into account. Whereas the Australian position was very clear that they also do not approve of terrorism. But the Penny Wong went to the extent of saying that these Jewish settlements inside West Bank are in violation of the international law. So clearly, though Australia understands Israel's right to defend itself, but it also believes that the humanitarian crisis evolving there and the long-term solution to the political problem should be done through political means and not through military means. Tanvi?
Yes, one hopes that the deal on the hostages also comes soon. Thank you very much, Amritpal Singh, for those inputs. Now, to mark the 15th anniversary of the Mumbai terror attacks, Israel has listed Lashkar-e-Taiba as a terrorist organization. This happened despite not being requested by the government of India to do so. Israel has formally completed all necessary procedures and satisfied all required checks to list Lashkar-e-Taiba on the Israeli list of illegal terror organizations. Israel described Lashkar-e-Taiba as a deadly and reprehensible terror organization responsible for the murder of hundreds of Indian civilians as well as others. The October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel reminded them of the horrific 26/11 attacks, which also killed Israeli and American nationals. Now, talks are underway between Israel and Hamas about a temporary truce for arranging entry of aid into the Gaza Strip and a hostages-prisoner swap deal. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has also expressed hope that there will be good news soon. Caroline Malone is in Washington, D.C. She gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Caroline, we're all expecting good news on the hostages front soon.
Yes, it does look likely that something could be announced as soon as within the next few hours. US President Joe Biden has said he believes a deal is near to secure the release of some hostages held by Hamas. And the White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby has also reiterated the administration believes a deal is getting closer to fruition.
I know this is of great interest to all of you. I just want to let you know we're still working this hour by hour. I do not have an update for you on the hostage deal that we're trying to negotiate. But as you heard the Deputy National Security Advisor say yesterday, we believe we're closer than we've ever been. So we're hopeful But there's still work to be done, and nothing is done until it's all done. So we're going to keep working on this.
The State Department has said that at least 6 US citizens have been killed since the conflict began between Israel and Hamas on October 7th.
There are a total of 6 American citizens who have died, not from the terrorist attacks on October 7th, but in the month plus since. 5 who are members of the IDF, and 1 who is a national police border officer.
The United Nations Relief and Works Agency is sending aid to displaced civilians in Rafah. Internally displaced people were seen gathering in large numbers in Rafah to collect flour and other aid that was being distributed by the UN agency. As the harsh winter sets in, residents are asking for clothes, blankets, and more food. The Israel Defense Forces have claimed its aircrafts have identified and struck what it's called 3 armed terror squads in an area bordering Lebanon. The IDF said it struck a number of Hezbollah targets, including infrastructure and command and control sites. Meanwhile, an Israeli strike on a car in southern Lebanon killed 4 people near the southern city of Tyre. The Israel-Lebanon border violence has escalated since October 7th, raising Western fears of a wider conflict in the Middle East that could draw in both the United States and Iran. Russia and Iran's foreign ministers have called for a ceasefire in Gaza. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke to Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian at the request of Tehran, and the minister urged for immediate assistance to be given to the civilian population there. Russia has repeatedly accused the United States and the West of ignoring the need for an independent Palestinian state. The White House has said that US President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping have agreed to meet again, but did not specify a date. There's been no comment so far from China on it. The 2 leaders met in San Francisco last week on the sidelines of the APEC summit, and they agreed to re-establish military-to-military communications.
They agreed that they would meet again, but there was no date put on the calendar. What's really important now is that the military-to-military comms will begin to start, and even down to the theater commander level, and maybe even lower than that. So that's the immediate channels of communication that we're looking at getting back open.
3 people were killed and 8 others injured in an overnight missile attack and shelling in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk and Kharkiv regions. Missiles hit a hospital and a coal mine in the town of Selidov. Several workers were trapped under the rubble. 4 buildings, 19 vehicles, and a power line were also damaged in the attack. In a video address dedicated to the Day of Dignity and Freedom in Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky praised the unwavering spirit of Ukrainians. Reflecting on a decade-long battle against unlawfulness, he emphasized Ukraine's commitment to shining brightly among the stars on the EU flag.
Year after year, step by step, we do everything to ensure that our stars shine in the circle of the stars on the EU flag. And we are doing all this despite the war, when our people are defending themselves and Europe right now. Because we have dignity and will not allow our freedom to be taken away from us.
Taking a dig at Ukraine, Russia said that coexistence is not possible with Ukraine's current regime, as it's very toxic. A senior Russian diplomat said that Moscow can resist the might of NATO for as long as it needs to fully demilitarize Ukraine. He added Ukraine has carried out crimes against civilians and breached human rights, while NATO continues to supply forbidden weapons to Ukraine. Well, the UK and South Korea are set on deepening cooperation and launching negotiations on an upgraded free trade deal, as the South Korean president begins a 3-day state visit. UK's King Charles was seen welcoming South Korea's Yoon Suk-yeol with a ceremonial parade. Along with talks on a new trade deal and a diplomatic accord, the two will also jointly enforce sanctions by the United Nations Security Council on North Korea. The agreement aims to support closer relations between Britain's Royal Navy and the South Korean Navy to counter smuggling in the East China Sea. William Lai, who's leading the polls in the campaign to be Taiwan's next president, has chosen a former diplomat as his running mate. Siege Sho B. Kim, who was in effect Taiwan's ambassador to the United Nations. DD India's Andrew Wood sent this report from Hong Kong.
Well, Taiwan is a bit of leftover business from the Chinese Civil War of the 1940s. The communists won that and set up the People's Republic of China in Beijing. But the losing side, the previous government, fled to Taiwan and basically set up their own state-like entity there. Now, Beijing says that Taiwan is actually part of China, and it says it wants to unify China with Taiwan by force if necessary. The DPP that holds power at the moment in Taiwan basically says that Taiwan has a different culture, a different identity, and it basically is quite happy to stay separate from the mainland of China, although it tries not to use the word independence and setting itself up as an independent state, because that really upsets Beijing. Now, Beijing has been showing its displeasure increasingly over the past year, with more and more military sorties, flights into Taiwan's airspace, naval vessels crossing the median line that separates Taiwanese waters from the mainland's waters in the Taiwan Strait. Now, if William Lai wins the election, then obviously that's going to help Taiwan stand alone against Beijing. It's not going to keep Beijing very happy. But the opposition parties in Taiwan at the moment, the KMT and the TPP, they were, a week or two ago, it looked like they were going to work together. They were going to try to avoid splitting the vote in the presidential election, so perhaps an opposition candidate could win. But now they seem to be going their separate ways again. So it's still looking like William Lai will win the election. He's certainly the front runner at the moment. In Hong Kong, I'm Andrew Wood, reporting for DD India.
Well, that's it from me here in Washington. Back to you in the studio, Tanvi.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Caroline Malone joining us from our Washington bureau. You're watching DD India Global. Still to come on the show. A Pakistani court declares illegal the jail trial of former Prime Minister Imran Khan on charges of leaking state secrets. And stage set for the virtual G20 Leaders Summit tomorrow, focus to be on climate change and green energy.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution. This series is going to tell stories of such changemakers. Watch Changemakers on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. Next, an update on the rescue operation underway of the trapped tunnel workers in the Indian state of Uttarakhand. In a major breakthrough in the ongoing Silkyara tunnel collapse, rescue officials have successfully established an audio-video link with the trapped workers through endoscopic flexi cameras attached to a 6-inch pipeline. There was joy among the families of the workers after these first visuals emerged. The families have expressed their happiness after speaking to their loved ones. Meanwhile, international tunnelling expert Arnold Dix, who has been roped in as part of these ongoing rescue efforts at the Uttarkashi tunnel collapse site, said that he was absolutely sure that the trapped 41 workers will come home soon.
It's fantastic, of course, the news we've had over the last few hours. It's great to see the faces of those men that we're going to bring home. We've got, of course, better food going to them now. We've got communications going to them now. You'll see this morning that we've got multiple approaches for the rescue. It's a good morning.
We all hope that these 41 trapped workers come out of this tunnel safe. Moving on, still with India, a virtual G20 Leaders Summit chaired by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be held tomorrow. The summit was announced by Indian Prime Minister during the closing session of the New Delhi G20 Summit in September this year.
The Leaders Summit will be held tomorrow from 5:30 p.m. onwards under the chairmanship of the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi. All of you are aware that the 18th G20 Leaders Summit was held in New Delhi successfully on 9th and 10th September 2023. It saw the unanimous adoption of the G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration.
Now, India has already hosted 2 Voice of the Global South summits. The first Voice of Global South summit was held in January this year virtually, while the second Voice of Global South summit was held in a virtual format on the 17th of this month.
This virtual summit will be the second time the Prime Minister will be hosting the leaders of the G20 within a span of just over 2.5 months. This is something very rare and rather exceptional. In addition to all this, as you are all aware, the Prime Minister has hosted 2 sessions of the Voice of Global Summit this year, which was coordinated by the Foreign Secretary. So actually, India has held 4 such meetings in a single year, with the participation of over 150 world leaders, which clearly demonstrates the convening power of India and the leadership of the Prime Minister at the global level.
Now, the 2-day Global Fisheries Conference India 2023 began in the Western Indian city of Ahmedabad today, marking the World Fisheries Day. The conference will focus on celebrating fisheries and agriculture wealth. Last year, India and France signed an agreement on the blue economy, ranging from maritime trade, naval industry, fisheries to marine technology and ocean observation. DD India's Jessica Taneja spoke to Professor Manel Zakaria, who is an international technical expert in blue economy from France.
Thank you for joining us. There was a pact signed last year between India and France on furthering cooperation in the blue economy. Tell us more about that.
So indeed, blue economy and all ocean science and technology issues was first introduced in the Indo-French summit in 21. And following this interest from scientists from both countries, there have been a roadmap signed by Honorable Prime Minister of India and Honorable President of France last year, stating the importance of blue economy and ocean technologies for both countries. Both of us have very long coastlines, and so they decided to build up cooperation in many areas. So it's very wide. It's ranging from fisheries to fish deconstruction, depollution, and passing by deep ocean technologies, oceanography, ocean models, and climate change.
How do you see India playing a bigger role when it comes to exporting fish and frozen shrimp?
Not only exporting, but it's playing a bigger role in a region, the Indo-Pacific region. I'll just give you one example, which is called the Bay of Bengal program, where India is sitting there with as far as I remember, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and Myanmar is associated because fish do not know where the borders are. They travel their own way and they don't care about politics, they don't care about wars, they are always there. And this global approach that was initiated by India, the headquarters of the Bay of Bengal program is in Chennai. I think it's showed the importance of India in the region.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The jail trial of former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, has been declared illegal by a Pakistani court. A special court has been conducting the trial in jail premises, citing security concerns, since Khan was indicted on the charges last month. Croatia has reported an outbreak of the highly pathogenic H5N1 bird flu virus on a poultry farm, says the World Organization for Animal Health. The outbreak infected 5 poultry among a flock of 19,600 on a farm in the county of Brodsko-Posavska near the Bosnian border. Elon Musk's social media platform X has sued company Media Matters that accused the site of allowing anti-Semitic posts next to advertising. X's lawsuit alleges that Media Matters for America manipulated data in an attempt to destroy the platform. 21st November marks the Day of Television every year. Announced by the United Nations General Assembly in the year 1996, the day celebrates the role of television in shaping world communication and impacting the reach of geo-televisual communication on the global scenario. Over the years, television has adapted beautifully to our changing lifestyles and has remained relevant. And talking of TV, the best in global television were honored in New York at the 2023 International Emmy Awards in New York. Australia went 3 for 3 at the International Emmy Awards. On Monday, the country took home prizes in the sports documentary, kids, factual and entertainment, and kids live action categories. German show The Empress was awarded the Best Drama Series. Mexican-American actress-producer Carla Souza bagged the Best Actress Award for the Mexican sports drama Dive, beating Indian actor Shefali Shah. Martin Freeman won the Best Actor for his role in the drama The Responder. India took home 2 awards. Comedian actor Veer Das won Best Comedy Series for his Netflix special Veer Das Landing, and Ekta Kapoor received the International Emmy Directorate Award. Indian-American author Deepak Chopra presented the award. So our congratulations to all the winners. That's it in this edition of DD India Global. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at DD India Live. You can also find us online at ddindia.co.in. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching. Namaskar.